I'm going to talk about Lomachenko first. He's a southpaw. He's very elusive, and part of that elusiveness is his feet. I know everyone likes to talk about his feet, but they're really worth talking about. You know, the way he pops in and out, the way he changes range every time you throw a punch. And if he's not changing range, he's slipping to the side or he's catching it on the glove and shooting back. So his ability to dictate range with his feet, it's very, very difficult to deal with. It's very difficult to deal with. And on top of that, you know, on the way in, he kind of does these like weird probing punches where he's just sort of touching you to get a range on where you're at, you know, and you could see it while he's training that he's thinking about it in a different kind of way. Like he's got that light board where the light flashes and he's got to touch it. He's got to touch, and you know, they're timing it like how fast his hand eye is. So he's just staring at this light board like ding, 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 you know, and you could see him doing that in the ring where he's not putting power on everything. He's just giving you the touch, touch, touch. Kind of slip to the side, touch, touch. And then eventually he'll rip a hard one. You know, he'll whip it real fast and it'll kind of come out of nowhere. And he has surprisingly good punching power. It's not necessarily devastating one punch power all the time, but he's somebody who can very easily break you down because his skill level and his IQ is so crazy that the accumulation gets to most people over time. And that's why there's a lot of guys that quit when they're in the ring with him. You know, it's a lot to handle, even not even physically necessarily. It's just there's so much coming at you that he could just embarrass you and you're not even getting beat up that bad, really. You know, so it's very difficult to deal with. He throws super creative combinations, you know, where he'll throw a couple that, like I said, he'll throw a couple of slow ones, he'll throw a couple fast, soft ones, and then rip a hard one. And he throws combinations of punches you don't see every day. So that it's hard to spar in a way that prepares for that, because how many guys throw like left uppercuts to the body from really far away, but he does it in a way where he's smart and he's not you know what I'm saying? He just does a lot of shit that you wouldn't necessarily get taught to do because you couldn't get away with it, but he can, because he has, you know, a very special understanding of distance and range and timing. You know, and his feet are his main mode of defense, but he'll notice on the way in, he'll sort of flash his gloves at you. Like he'll sort of move his head a little and flash his glove this way, flash this way. And he'll kind of give you, you know, a look, or he'll give you a target to kind of fake you out. And then on top of that, he does this thing where, and you see a lot of Eastern European, Ukrainian guys doing this move, but he'll kind of have his front hand up and he'll be jabbing on the way in. He'll pop it up and then he'll drop down. And he'll be jabbing, drop it up and pop down. And what he's doing is he's getting you to look at this jab up here, and then he's dropping down. So he's got you thinking about the body, which is going to open something else up. So even when he's not throwing punches, every single move that this guy makes has a purpose. There's nothing he's doing that has no purpose. Everything has a set purpose. Even if he's just touching you, or he's not touching you and he's just kind of letting his hands go to get his range right, he's just like, ha ha, boom, boom, flash you here, raise this up, drop down. You know, everything has a purpose. He's trying to open you up, because once he opens you up, he's got you. And, you know, he's a great counterpuncher. And what's really interesting about him too is that even though he's this technical, tactical wizard, he's usually on the front foot. He's usually stepping to you and putting you in the position of having to do something to keep him off of you, which is going to open you up. It's going to open you up. And once you open up, that's when you're fucked. Unless you have crazy good timing or speed, it's very difficult to deal with. And the thing for me that I think is the most impressive about him is he's a crippling body puncher. I mean, you could see when he really lets it go to the body and he gets rooted in his stance and he's got like a little bit of wind up on it. You can see that shit hurts, man. And I've seen him drop guys to the body. You know, it's something that he does very, very well is throw body punches. To me, his biggest drawback as a fighter is that he gets hurt. He gets injured a lot. You know, he's had broken hands during the fight. I remember watching a fight early in his career where he broke one of his hands and in like the third, fourth round, and essentially dominated this guy one-handed. This guy from Thailand dominated the fight with one hand. He was saying in the pre-fight show, I broke my hand against Crowler. I fucked my shoulder up against Dustin Such. And, these are all fights that he basically dominated. So I think it's entirely possible we haven't even seen everything he can do because he hasn't been healthy. Now he's had these 14 months off. So you'd think that he's done some healing. But I think there's always the potential, particularly with someone as durable as Lopez. I think the best thing that could happen is that Loma gets hurt and in some way his offense is stunted. But to me, that's his biggest drawback, is that he's a little bit injury prone.